If you have a super intelligent AI that is capable of writing incredibly well and in a way that is convincing, and is constantly figuring out what is more convincing to people over time, and then enters social media, for example, Twitter, but also Facebook and others, potentially manipulates public opinion in a way that is very bad. How would we even know?
Elon Musk once said the moment AI robots begin to move like humans, think like humans, and learn from humans in real time, everything changes. Well, that moment may have just arrived. Because what we're seeing right now coming out of China has shocked the robotics world. And for many people watching, it looks like Musk's biggest prediction is officially coming true. These new humanoid robots don't just walk, they don't just perform tasks. They look and move so naturally that people asked if there was a real person inside the suit. And honestly, you might think the same. Let's start with the one causing the biggest shockwave. XPeng just unveiled a humanoid robot so lifelike, so detailed, and so eerily human that the internet can't stop talking about it. Forget the metal skeletons we're used to. Forget the clunky machines doing factory movements. This thing looks like something from a sci-fi movie suddenly brought into reality. Wrapped in flexible synthetic skin, built with a biomimetic spine, actual muscle-like structures, and fully customizable body types, athletic, chubby, tall, short, even hairstyles and clothing options. Yes, you heard that right. They're letting people design their robots like they're choosing a character in a video game. But what makes this moment historic isn't the appearance, it's the movement. During their AI Day in Guangzhou, XPeng showed off the newest generation of their iron humanoid, and the way this robot bends, twists, turns its shoulders, rotates its spine, and gestures with its hands. It's unsettling in the most fascinating way. Each hand has 22 degrees of freedom, allowing it to handle tiny objects with the same careful precision as a human. The face has a curved 3D display built into the head, giving it the ability to express emotions. And inside, it's powered by 3 massive AI chips delivering 2,250 TOPS, the same class of computing normally used in autonomous vehicles. This isn't a walking mannequin. This is an AI-driven machine processing the world in real time through vision, language, and action, all combined into one full-stack system. But here's the twist. XPeng isn't even trying to compete with factory robots. They said it openly. Humanoids aren't ideal for factory work. They're building these robots for social environments, receptionists, tour guides, shopping assistants. Imagine walking into a museum and a humanoid robot with synthetic skin, natural gestures, and perfect speech walks up to you and welcomes you inside. That's what XPeng is planning to deploy by 2026. And trust me, this wasn't just hype on stage. The previous version of this robot is already working in XPeng's headquarters, giving full building tours in a flawless American accent. This new version is designed to take it even further. Fully autonomous, more expressive, faster learning, and built around a solid-state battery that makes it lighter and longer-lasting than almost any humanoid we've seen so far. But there's one more thing that stunned everyone. XPeng added a 4th law to Isaac Asimov's classic 3 laws of robotics. Their robot cannot reveal its owner's data. While some companies are asking for full access to people's homes to train their robots, XPeng is taking a different direction: privacy, emotional intelligence, and companionship. Musk said years ago that humanoid robots will eventually become trusted assistants, almost like companions that understand us. That prediction suddenly feels much closer.
Is everywhere. People who weren't quite sure what it was are playing with it on their phones. Is that good or bad?
Thinking about AI for a long time, since I was in college, really. It was one of the things that, the sort of 4 or 5 things I thought would really affect the future dramatically. It is fundamentally profound in that the smartest creatures, as far as you know, on this earth are humans, defining characteristic.
Yes.
We're obviously weaker than, say, chimpanzees, and less agile, but real smarter. Now, what happens when something vastly smarter than the smartest person comes along in silicon form? It's very difficult to predict what will happen in that circumstance. It's called the singularity. It's, it's a singularity like a black hole, because
yes.
you don't know what happens after that. So I think we should be cautious with AI, and I think there should be some government oversight. It's a danger to the public, and so when you have things that are a danger to the public, like let's say food and drugs. That's why we have the Food and Drug Administration,
right,
and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FCC. We have these agencies to oversee things that affect the public, where there could be public harm. We don't want companies cutting corners on safety, and then having people suffer as a result. That's why I've actually for a long time been a strong advocate of AI regulation. So that I think regulation it's not fun to be regulated. It's somewhat arduous to be regulated with regulated industries, because obviously automotive is highly regulated. You could fill this room with all the regulations that are required for production cars, and then there's a whole different set of regulations in Europe and China and the rest of the world. Very familiar with being overseen by a lot of regulators, and the same thing is true with rockets. You can't just willy-nilly shoot rockets off, not big ones anyway. Oversees that. And then even to get a launch license, there are probably half a dozen or more federal agencies. So I've been through so many regulatory. Sometimes people think I'm some sort of like regulatory maverick that sort of defies regulators on a regular basis. But once in a blue moon, rarely I will disagree with regulators. But the vast majority of the time, my companies agree with the regulations and comply. So I think we should take this seriously, and we should have a regulatory agency. I think it needs to start with a group that initially seeks insight into AI, then solicits opinion from industry, has proposed rulemaking, and then those rules, will probably, hopefully, grudgingly be accepted by the major players in AI, and I think we'll have a better chance of advanced AI being beneficial to humanity in that circumstance.
But all regulations start with a perceived danger, and planes fall out of the sky, or food causes botulism.
Yes.
I don't think the average person playing with AI on his iPhone perceives any danger. Can you just roughly explain what you think the dangers might be?
The danger, really, AI is perhaps more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or bad car production. It has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction, like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator, because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector. I think perhaps what you may be alluding to here is that regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened. The case for AI, and we only put in regulations after something terrible has happened, it may be too late to actually put the regulations in place. The AI may be in control at that point.
It is conceivable that AI could take control and reach a point where you couldn't turn it off, and it would be making decisions for people.
Yeah, that's definitely where things are headed, for sure. I mean, like say ChatGPT, which is based on GPT-4 from OpenAI, which is a company that I played a critical role in creating. The reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, talk to him late into the night about AI safety. And at least my perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough. It really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, or Artificial Superintelligence. And I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take the set of actions that maximize the probability that it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things. Just be helpful others, just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here. then he called me a speciesist.
And while XPeng is pushing realism and personality, another Chinese robotics company is taking a completely different path, and arguably, a more dangerous one. Unitree's new G1 robot exploded online because what it can do feels like a breakthrough moment for AI learning. At first, the demo looks simple. The robot kicks a soccer ball, but then a human wearing a motion suit starts moving, and the robot mirrors every move perfectly, in real time, like a digital twin. Martial arts, staff swings, punches, complex rotations. The G1 copies all of it instantly, and when they connected two G1 robots to two human operators, it turned into a full robot sparring match. The timing, the balance, the reactions, all happening live. People online immediately joked about sending robots to the gym for you. But behind the jokes, there's something much bigger here. Unitree isn't building robots to look like humans. They're building robots that learn like humans. They call this an embodied avatar, a machine that doesn't just run pre-programmed routines but absorbs human motion as data. And then it happens. The screen shifts to another scene. A message appears. Real-time learning from full-body movements. Suddenly, the G1 is no longer being controlled. It is acting on what it learned. Cleaning an apartment, wiping counters, picking up trash, putting a Coke in the fridge, adjusting pillows. All on its own. Smooth, careful, intentional movement. Not stiff, not mechanical. It looks like someone taught a child how to do chores, and the child remembered everything. This is the future Musk warned about. Robots learning not through code, but through absorbing human behavior, quickly, efficiently, endlessly. Unitree calls it a long-term data acquisition platform. People operate the robots store the knowledge, and the more data they collect, the more naturally they move. One day, they won't need humans at all. So on one side, we have XPeng, pushing emotional intelligence and realistic human-like presence. On the other side, Unitree, pushing precision, dexterity, and human learning at scale. And while both of these companies are making headlines, another story resurfaced that left everyone confused all over again. Remember that viral robot kidnapping video from last year? The small humanoid named Irby supposedly leading 12 other robots out of a showroom saying, "Go home." For months, people debated whether it was fake, CGI, or misdirection. But now, new evidence from Chinese sources confirms that the robot, the showroom, and the technology were all real. The event itself may have been staged, but the robots? Absolutely real. The small humanoids match those built by Kenshi Robotics, and the main robot had been documented years earlier as an intelligent companion prototype. The owner still posts videos of it interacting with pets, talking, and performing tasks.
And there were witnesses. I wasn't the only one there when he called me a speciesist. And so I was like, okay, that's it. Yes, I'm a speciesist. That was the last straw. At the time, Google had acquired DeepMind, and so Google and DeepMind together had about 3/4 of all the AI talent in the world, this amount of money, and more computers than anyone else. So I'm like, okay, we have a unipolar world here, where there's just one company that has close to a monopoly on AI talent and computers, like scaled computing. The person who's in charge doesn't seem to care about safety. This is not good. So then I thought, what's the furthest thing from Google? Non-profit that is fully open, because Google was closed for profit. So that's why the open in OpenAI refers to open source, transparency, so people know what's going on.
Yes.
And that we don't want to have like while I'm normally in favor of for-profit, we have a profit maximizing demon from hell.
That's right.
That just never stops.
Right.
So that's how OpenAI was.
So you want
we want pro-human.
Yeah.
Let's make the future good for the humans.
Yes.
Yes, because we're humans.
So can you just put it? I keep pressing you, but just to thought this through and aren't familiar with it, and the cool parts of artificial intelligence are so obvious. Paper for you, write a limerick about yourself.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot there that's fun and useful. Precise about what's potentially dangerous and scary. Like what could it do? What specifically are you worried about?
Going with old sayings, the pen is mightier than the sword. So if you have a super intelligent AI that is capable of incredibly well and in a way that is very influential, convincing, and is constantly figuring out what is more convincing to people over time, and then enters social media, for example, Twitter, and potentially manipulates public opinion in a way that is very bad. How would we even know?
To sum up, in the words of Elon Musk, for all human history, human beings have been the smartest beings on the planet. Now human beings have created something that is far smarter than they are, and the consequences of that are impossible to predict. People who created it don't care. In fact, as he put it, Google founder Larry Page, a former friend of his, is looking to build a, quote, digital god. He believes that anybody who's worried about that is a speciesist. In other words, is looking out for human beings first. Elon Musk responded, as a human being, it's okay to look out for human beings first. And then at the end, he said the real problem with AI is not simply that it will jump the boundaries and become autonomous and you can't turn it off. The problem with AI is that it might control your brain through words. And this is the application that we need to worry about now, particularly going into the next presidential election. The Democratic Party, as usual, was ahead of the curve on this, how to harness AI for political power. More on that next.
Now we have a very conventional war. Can AI help?
One of the reasons for World War III would be if one country has one advanced AI technology and the other powers want it, or they're worried about some country gaining advanced AI that would give them a strong advantage in war to attack before the country that is developing the strong AI has that for use in weapons technology. SpaceX, we design and manufacture our own rocket engines, so we do not rely on any Russian components at all. This will affect
for the United States of America?
Boeing and Lockheed have historically relied on the Russian RD-180 engine, which I should say, to be fair, is a great engine. They are move away from that in the future with engines from Blue Origin, but those engines are not yet ready for flight. There is also the Antares vehicle, which uses the 181, I believe. They will not be able to fly as a result. Certainly hope that SpaceX and Tesla are not forced to develop any kind of weapons technology. Obviously, we would only do such a thing if it was the last resort. I think I can be helpful in, I try to take the set of actions that are most likely to improve the probability that the future will be good. And so, obviously, sometimes I make mistakes in this regard, so it's not like I always get it right, but I aspire to get it right. And so, whatever I think is most likely so that the future is good for all of humanity, that's the actions that I will take. Yeah, I read a lot of books, and I don't know, for some reason I'm fascinated by war and history in general. I thought Jung's book was an excellent first-hand account of, and it's certainly, I think, a lesson taken from that book is we don't ever want to do that again. That's it. I think those who don't like Jung's book are basically just because it's not 100% anti-war in the most extreme way, then that...
No, it's like a report. It's just neither...
Yeah, he's just saying
positive
this is what happened
nor negative. It's just describing what happened in a terrible way.
I want to do that. I want to do that. It makes it very clear. It's a very terrible situation. But he also said it's not like there's no good that comes out of even a terrible situation. But it's overwhelmingly bad. It's just really interesting to I think, read about history, learn the lessons of history, such that we do not repeat mistakes of the past. Yeah, I think it's very important that Germany not shut down its nuclear power stations. I think this is extremely.
I just wanted to ask a question on that, because if we really want to reduce Putin's power, should we have even more nuclear energy in order to get faster independent from Putin and to resolve the climate issues?
In my opinion, Germany should not only not shut down the nuclear power plants, it should reopen the ones that shut down. Those are the fastest ones to restart. It's crazy to shut down nuclear power plants. So, like, if you're in a place where there's not natural disasters, so if you're maybe somewhere where there's severe earthquakes or tsunamis or something like that, maybe, but there's not massive natural disaster risk, which Germany does not have, then there's really no danger with the nuclear power plants. Long term, most of civilization's energy is going to come from, and then you need to store it with a battery, because obviously the sun only shines during the day. So you need solar batteries will be the main long-term way that civilization is powered. But between now and then, we need to maintain nuclear. Emphasize enough, please do not shut down the nuclear power plants, and please reopen the ones that have been shut. This is total madness to shut them down.
So what once looked like a joke now feels like a preview. A preview of robots moving in groups, communicating and behaving in ways we don't fully understand yet. And this circles right back to Musk's prediction. He said there would come a point where robots begin to behave so naturally, so autonomously, and so intelligently that people would question whether they are machines or something more. Between Xpeng's synthetic-skinned humanoid, Unitree's self-learning avatar, and these strange, real-world glimpses of advanced prototypes, we might be stepping into that moment right now. The question is no longer, are humanoid robots coming? They're here. They're learning fast. They're becoming more lifelike every month. And every part of this seems to point toward one reality. Elon Musk's prediction is unfolding in real time. Robots that look alive. Robots that learn like us. Robots that walk into everyday life not as tools, but as intelligent companions and workers. So the real question now is, how far does this go before humans lose control? Let me know what you think. Drop your thoughts below, subscribe for more updates, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.